The morning sunlight poured through the thin white curtains, cutting across the room like a spotlight on a mistake that could change everything forever. Rowan Mercer, a widowed single father, slowly opened his eyes with a pounding headache after the company's annual office celebration. His heart nearly stopped when he realized he was lying in a bed that wasn't his. The room was unfamiliar, his jacket rested neatly over a chair, and memories from the previous night were shattered into confusing pieces. Before panic could completely take over, he noticed his coworker, Maren Holt, quietly standing near the bedroom doorway with a gentle expression that revealed both exhaustion and concern. What she calmly told him next would completely change the direction of his life. If you believe in kindness and second chances, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and subscribe to the channel Silent Hope Stories. Your support helps these heartfelt stories reach more people every day. Rowan buried his face in his hands as shame crashed over him. Since losing his wife 4 years earlier, he had devoted every moment of his life to raising his 8-year-old son, Finn. He rarely attended social gatherings, never drank more than a single glass, and avoided anything that reminded him of the loneliness waiting at home. The office party had been different. After months of impossible deadlines and sleepless nights, his co-workers had convinced him to stay longer than usual. One drink became two, then another, until the carefully built walls around his grief slowly collapsed. Everything after that existed only in scattered flashes of laughter, bright lights, music, and blurred faces. As Rowan struggled to remember, Maren quietly explained what had happened. She had found him sitting alone outside the restaurant after everyone else had left. He had been sick, barely able to stand, and far too exhausted to drive. His phone battery had died, no taxi was available because of a city marathon the next morning, and leaving him alone on the sidewalk had never been an option. She had brought him to her apartment, helped him onto the guest side of her bed after he refused to sleep on the couch because he kept drifting in and out of consciousness, covered him with a blanket, and spent the night reading in the living room to make sure he was safe. The words lifted an enormous weight from Rowan's shoulders, but another emotion quickly replaced it. Gratitude mixed with embarrassment filled his heart. He apologized repeatedly, feeling as though he had failed the promise he made to himself after his wife's passing. Maren never judged him. Instead, she simply reminded him that everyone carries invisible burdens, and sometimes even the strongest people stumble under their weight. Her kindness wasn't dramatic or heroic. It was quiet, genuine, and exactly what Rowan had forgotten still existed in the world. After thanking her, Rowan hurried home under the bright daytime sky. Every step felt heavier as he imagined what his son must have thought after waking up without him. When he opened the front door, Finn rushed into his arms with tears already forming in his eyes. The elderly neighbor who often watched Finn during emergencies had stayed overnight after Rowan never returned. Rowan hugged his son tighter than ever before, silently promising that nothing like this would ever happen again. That promise became the turning point of his life. Over the following weeks, Rowan stopped pretending he had healed from his grief. He began attending a local support group for widowed parents, something he had resisted for years because he believed asking for help meant weakness. Instead, he discovered people carrying stories even heavier than his own. Listening to their experiences reminded him that healing was never about forgetting the past. It was about learning to carry it without allowing it to crush the future. Maren remained only a coworker at first. They shared lunch breaks, exchanged stories about childhood dreams, and slowly became trusted friends. Rowan learned that she had spent years caring for her own father during a long illness before losing him. She understood silence because she had lived inside it herself. Neither of them tried to rescue the other. Instead, they simply offered understanding whenever life became overwhelming. Months passed beneath bright blue daytime skies filled with ordinary moments that slowly became extraordinary. Rowan found himself smiling again while watching Finn play soccer at the neighborhood park. Weekend breakfasts no longer felt empty. Laughter slowly returned to the small house that had once echoed only with sadness. Maren occasionally joined them for community events or volunteer activities, never forcing herself into their lives but naturally becoming someone both father and son trusted. Everything changed again when Rowan received unexpected news from work. The company announced major layoffs after losing an important contract. Fear spread through every department. Rowan immediately worried about providing for Finn. Years of careful budgeting suddenly seemed meaningless as uncertainty surrounded him. When the final list was released, Rowan's name was among those losing their jobs. For a moment, the darkness threatened to return. He questioned whether hope had simply been another temporary illusion. Yet this time he was no longer alone. His support group encouraged him daily. Marin helped him update his resume and prepare for interviews. Finn surprised his father by placing a handmade drawing on the kitchen table that showed the two of them standing beneath a large tree. At the top, he had written, "Strong trees survive every storm." Those simple words became Rowan's motivation. Rather than accepting the first available position, he finally pursued the career he had secretly dreamed about for years. Using experience gained from his previous job, he launched a small consulting business focused on helping struggling local companies improve their operations. The beginning was difficult. There were weeks with almost no income and nights filled with anxiety. But every challenge reminded him of the promise he had made the morning he woke in Marin's apartment, that he would never allow one mistake or one painful chapter to define the rest of his life. Little by little, clients began recommending him to others. The business grew steadily. More importantly, Rowan gained something far greater than financial stability. He rediscovered confidence. Finn proudly told his classmates that his father helped people rebuild their businesses. Marin celebrated every milestone without expecting anything in return. Their friendship quietly blossomed into something deeper, built not on dramatic romance but on honesty, patience, trust, and shared healing. Years later, Rowan often looked back at that frightening morning with surprising gratitude. What had seemed like the worst mistake of his life had actually become the beginning of his second chance. He realized that the sentence Marin had spoken that morning had stayed with him forever. She had simply reminded him that everyone deserves compassion on their hardest day, especially when they have forgotten how to show it to themselves. If this story touched your heart, please support this video by liking, sharing, subscribing, and leaving a heartfelt comment. Your encouragement allows more inspiring stories to reach people who may need hope today. Special request, please comment below with the words, "Everyone deserves a second chance," if you believe kindness can completely change someone's life. As the bright afternoon sun illuminated the quiet neighborhood where Rowan and Finn walked side by side, the future no longer felt frightening. It felt open, hopeful, and filled with possibilities. Sometimes the greatest turning points do not begin with success or celebration. Sometimes they begin with confusion, regret, and one unexpected act of kindness from someone who simply chooses to care. Those moments may never make headlines, but they have the power to rebuild broken hearts, restore forgotten hope, and remind us that every sunrise offers another chance to begin again.